am your host, St. Ilias. Tonight, we dive into another mystery, a warning hidden in plain sight, and the knowledge they never wanted you to uncover. In this video, we'll uncover Orwell's Animal Farm, how it begins with the intoxicating dream of equality, where every creature would finally be free, how clever propaganda twists reality until lies sound like truth, how fear creeps in and enslaves the mind, and how tyranny disguises itself in the mask of safety, order, and the so-called greater good. Ever had that nagging feeling when you see something that's just wrong, but you go along with it anyway? That little voice you ignore because it's just easier than making a scene? There's a name for that mental straitjacket: cognitive dissonance. It's the discomfort we feel when we believe one thing but do another, or try to hold two contradictory ideas in our head at once. And 80 years ago, George Orwell gave us the blueprint for how this psychological flaw can be used to bring a society to its knees. He tried to warn us. That blueprint is Animal Farm. Now, most of us read it in school as a fairy tale about the Russian Revolution, but its real warning is something much more personal and much more terrifying. It's a story about the mental cages we build for ourselves and how frighteningly easy it is for a clever leader to quietly lock the door. The promise of utopia. The story kicks off with a dream. On a miserable, forgotten farm, the animals are living lives of pure slavery under their human master, Mr. Jones. They're exploited, they're starving, and they're worked to death. Then, one night, a wise old pig named Old Major shares a revolutionary vision: a world without humans, a farm run by animals, for animals, a world where they would all share in the profits of their own labor, where every animal would be equal, free, and happy. It's a powerful promise. After Old Major dies, the animals, now led by the pigs, actually do it. They rise up and kick their oppressor out in a glorious rebellion. They change the name from Manor Farm to Animal Farm and write 7 unbreakable laws on the barn wall for everyone to see. The 7 commandments of animalism. These were the pillars of their new society, with rules like no animal shall sleep in a bed, no animal shall kill any other animal, and the most important one of all animals are equal. This is their golden moment. The dream of a perfect society, a utopia, feels like it's finally here. The animals believe with every fibre of their being in their cause and their new laws. Their entire identity is built on this belief. But that's exactly where the trap is set. Because when your whole world is built on a beautiful idea, what happens when that idea starts to rot right in front of you? The seeds of tyranny and the first dissonance. The first crack in this perfect world shows up almost instantly, and it's so small you could almost miss it. The pigs, having taught themselves to read and write, just sort of declare themselves the leaders. Then, the fresh milk from the cows goes missing. A little while later, it turns out the pigs have been mixing it, and a recent windfall of apples, into their own food. The other animals start to murmur. This doesn't feel very equal. And here's the first test. On one hand, there's the core belief: all animals are equal. On the other hand, there's the hard fact. The pigs are taking the best food for themselves. These two thoughts are at war, and it creates a painful mental tension, cognitive dissonance. The animals have a choice. They can either face the horrifying idea that their leaders are corrupt and the revolution is already a sham, or they can find some way to justify it so the bad feeling goes away. And right on cue, enter Squealer, the pig's brilliant and utterly shameless spin doctor. He doesn't even deny they're taking the milk and apples. No, he reframes it. With tears in his eyes, he explains that the pigs are the brain workers. The entire farm depends on them. They aren't taking this extra food for selfish pleasure, of course not. They're doing it for the good of everyone. He caps it all off with a terrifying question. Surely, comrades, you do not want Jones back? And there it is. The perfect excuse. The justification that makes the dissonance vanish. The animals are terrified of Jones coming back. So, they choose to believe Squealer. It's so much easier to swallow the lie that the pigs are making a noble sacrifice than to face the truth that a new gang of bosses is already taking over. As Orwell himself said, this was the moment. If the animals had just put their foot down then, things might have been alright, but they didn't. They chose comfort over truth, and in doing so, they handed the pigs the keys to their minds. Escalating deception and modern parallels. Once you swallow that first lie, the second one goes down a lot easier, and the third, easier still. With Squealer as their propaganda minister, the pigs start to systematically tear down every rule that once held their society together. The corruption snowballs, and with every step, the pigs become masters at managing the other animals' cognitive dissonance. They move into the farmhouse and start sleeping in beds. When the others question it, remembering the fourth commandment, they're shown that the rule on the barn wall has been subtly changed. It now reads, "No animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets." Clover the horse feels like something's wrong, but she just blames her own faulty memory. After all, she can't read, the pigs can. Who is she to argue? This is historical revisionism in real time. Language itself is turned into a weapon. The pigs master the use of slogans and propaganda to make tyranny sound like sacrifice. Facts that are inconvenient are simply erased. They turn Snowball, their exiled rival, into a phantom menace, blaming him for every single problem on the farm. This scapegoating unites the animals against a common enemy, distracting them from Napoleon's creeping dictatorship. Sound familiar? The twisting of language to hide the truth is a cornerstone of modern propaganda. Think about how often oppressive policies are sold to us as being for our safety or security. It's in the way complex issues get boiled down to simple, emotional slogans designed to shut down critical thought. It's in the creation of scapegoats, both at home and abroad, to whip up fear and justify grabbing more power. Tyranny rarely introduces itself as tyranny. It arrives wearing the costume of patriotism, of necessity, of the greater good. It always gives you a convenient reason to resolve the dissonance you feel when you see your freedom slipping away. Napoleon's power grab speeds up. He unleashes a pack of vicious dogs he's secretly raised to terrorize anyone who steps out of line. Animals who confess to being in league with Snowball are executed on the spot. A flagrant violation of the rule, no animal shall kill any other animal. But by now, the animals are so deep in a psychological trap of their own making, they can barely see what's real anymore. Squealer's spin, backed by the sheer terror of the dogs, keeps them in line. The fear of something worse, the return of Jones, remains the ultimate tool of control. The culmination of tyranny. The story's horrifying climax comes years later. The farm is richer, but only for the pigs and their dogs. Everyone else works harder than ever on starvation rations. The original dream of the rebellion is just a faint, blurry memory. The 7 commandments have been wiped off the barn wall. In their place is one single, paradoxical statement. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. This one sentence is the final, twisted perversion of everything they fought for. It's the logical end for a society that chose again and again to resolve its cognitive dissonance in favor of the people in power. The contradiction is now the law. The lie is now the truth. The final scene is one of the most chilling in all of literature. The exhausted animals, drawn by strange sounds from the farmhouse, creep up and peer through the window. Inside, they see the pigs, led by Napoleon, drinking and laughing with their human neighbours. And then, the unthinkable happens. Napoleon rears up and begins walking on his hind legs. The other pigs follow. The sheep, who have been coached for this moment, start bleating a new slogan. 4 legs good, 2 legs better. As the animals stare in from the cold and the dark, they look from pig to man, and from man to pig, and back again, but it is already impossible to say which is which. The revolution has come full circle. The new masters are now identical to the old ones. The cognitive dissonance is finally, and tragically, resolved. There's no contradiction left to wrestle with, because the original belief that they were building a free, equal society has been snuffed out completely. George Orwell, a democratic socialist himself, wrote Animal Farm as a direct satirical attack on the Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin. But its warning goes so much deeper than that one moment in history. This isn't just a critique of a single ideology, it's a timeless exposé on the mechanics of tyranny and the psychological weaknesses that let it take root. Orwell's message, as he put it, is that revolutions only lead to real improvement when the people are vigilant and know how to chuck out their leaders as soon as they have done their job. The greatest threat isn't just a power-hungry leader, it's our own willingness to choose comforting lies over difficult truths. It's our tendency to let fear make our decisions for us, and to outsource our own critical thinking to people who insist they know best. Animal Farm is a study in how good intentions are corrupted, how language is twisted, and how an entire society can be led into servitude, not always by brute force, but by the slow, quiet creep of psychological manipulation. The best defense against the fate of Animal Farm isn't a political party. It's a state of mind. It's the courage to sit with the discomfort of cognitive dissonance, to see a lie and call it a lie. It's the bravery to question slogans, to challenge authority, to doubt, and above all, to hang on to the truth, especially when a chorus of voices is telling you to just let it go. Orwell tried to warn you. The only question is, are we listening? If this breakdown resonated with you, subscribe for more deep dives into the books and ideas that define our world. And I want to know what you think in the comments. What modern parallels to Animal Farm do you see playing out today? I am Saint Ilias, and this was Saints Occult. Remember, truth hides in the shadows. I'll see you in the dark.